What's up, everybody, and welcome back to KyTalk Live. Tonight, we have a very special guest, an old friend, artist, author, and comic creator. You're going to love tonight's show. Izzy Serrano from Izzart, welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, my man? How we doing?
I am doing great. How's the new year treating you?
It's pretty good, brother. Pretty good. How far are we in? 24 days? 28 days? Where are we?
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, so far it's already a little bit better than last year.
Oh, yeah, man. We're going to be February here in a heartbeat.
And first thing I want to jump into is I hear you are about to be a father.
Yeah, man, I am.
Congratulations, first off, dude. I think that's really cool. By the way, you're not even showing. You look amazing.
Thank you, brother.
Guy. Yeah.
Thank you, my man. It is. The news is about 3 days old, so it's still kind of like holy shit. You know, it hits me like door slams. You know, you'll be doing your regular thing, and then all of a sudden, boom! You're like, oh yeah, that's coming. Yeah,
Lots to get ready for.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep it slow and enjoy it. To be honest with you, you know,
you should every second of it, especially when they're like very young. But for people like you and I, it really does help you grow up too. I mean,
no joke. Or it adds to your material, brother. I mean, you know, who knows? Who knows what my next comic might be inspired by?
Which, speaking of, you just had a recent release back in 2020, available on Amazon right now. I actually have my own copy, but Fuk'n Chickens. First off, the name is just brilliant. I have to admit that.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. I tangled with that name for maybe 3 days, and then it was just like this is no joke. I had the faith that no matter what I was gonna do, by the time it was done, the platform to support the word "fuck" would be okay.
Well, and Fuk'n Chickens. I mean, fuck it. You can use that word. It's a little easier to go with now.
Yeah, no doubt. And people say it all the time, man. You'd be surprised. Like, once I came up with the title, I heard it all the time. Especially when people referring to food and, oh man, the fucking chicken was good. And, oh man, we got steak, pork chops, fucking chicken. Dude, people say it all the time.
Well, the cool thing about the word fuck is it can be a noun, a verb, an adjective. I mean, you're fucking hot.
Yes.
You know, you can use it in so many different ways. So it's just a great word anyway. So it works out pretty well with this comic, which I read it the first day I have it. This is a series 1 of 9.
Yes.
When do you expect the second one to come out, by the way?
I'm about a quarter of the way through the second book. So I would say by summer. I just got an iPad too, so it makes the process a lot faster. And I would say at the pace I'm going right now, securely, I could say summertime, hopefully earlier if I get a little break. You know, you never know, man. I might end up on quarantine one day and I if a solid 2 weeks to just sit, and I might burn out all 3 books, man. You never know. You got to pull from what you got around you, man. That's a great way to, you know, if you're a writer or an artist or anything, try to make something out of whatever's happening around you. You never know how it'll just, once you push that ball, you know, it's the right little thing happens, and now you got an idea. Just like the story, man. Once I had that joke and I flipped it, and I didn't get to this part earlier, but when I told my brother, I said I have a movie on my hands with this, and then I realized I had 3 movies on my hands because I could take this joke and tell it 3 different ways, and then it just flowed into the next and the next, and then I was like, I went to the room, no bullshit, man, and I sat for a minute, and I was like, this is gonna be a thing. And here I am drawing one drawing a day, one painting a day, one drawing a day. And I'm just kicking it out like quick things. And now I'm like, this might be the rest of my life.
Wow.
Legit. And I had to commit to it. And here we are 6 years later, bro, talking about book 2.
I can't wait to see it. I really can't.
Yeah, it's going to be dope, man. But it's on Patreon. So I'm thinking of right now, the first book, I put out the whole book at one time on my Patreon, on one post. And
wow.
Yeah, because I had already started. I'd been working on it for a while before I even got the Patreon account. But now I'm thinking I'm probably going to be releasing page by page, because with the way everybody's, you know, quarantine and the way things are changing, I might just go page by page. Some people I follow do that. I'm torn, to be real, man. What do you think on that? What would you say? Because you know it's action based and it's got a flow. You know,
it is, and you're gonna obviously have to hold back on some of the. I would say yes, throw some of it out there for people to see, but you're gonna have to hold some of the suspense back.
Yeah, it's like telling you like one verse out of a rap song that's got 8 verses in it. You
Exactly.
know, it might not
But I
be
mean,
cool, but it's cool to hear that verse as
and
a patron. You know,
but that's a great way to just show some love to all of your supporters as well. I mean, just being
true.
able to put a few pages out there, some ideas out there without actually spoilers.
That's tough. That's the tough part.
That's the
Yeah,
tough part. Okay. See, I don't
yeah,
know the joke yet, so.
yeah. Nah, the joke. There's no way to ruin it. There's no way to ruin it. You just don't want to tell anybody. That's the only part. To tell you the joke, I'd ruin it, but you'll never see it coming. And
No, and until I do, one day I'm gonna have a drink with you, and
for
then we're gonna
sure,
sit there. You're gonna tell me the joke, and I'm be like, "Oh, now I get that
dude, I'm
shit."
warning you, man. This story has levels, bro. That's why it's so. That's why it goes so far. It's like 7 levels deep.
This is an idea that transpired so long ago. This is something you've been working with for many, many years.
Yeah.
From the idea and the thought process all the way to the release of your comic in 2020. How long did it take you to come up and do all of this?
The idea came in November of 2014. We had chickens. My neighbor next door was moving, and he had 5 what they call leghorns. They're the white ones with the red, and he had 5 of them, and he couldn't take them with him, so he gave them to us. I would say, man, 4 months after he gave us those chickens, I had the idea. I wrote the script in about 6 months, and then I tangled with the idea of animation for about a year before I started doing the legwork on a comic. So altogether, man, the comic is about 2 years in the making from the release date of the first comic backwards.
Mm-hmm.
From about 2017 to 2019 August timeframe, it took 2 years for me to go through the process, and I did it old school, man. I did it pencil, paper, and I took pictures, and then I transported that into digital. So that's why the comic has a real texture to it. You see pencil lines, you see all that stuff in there, you know.
Oh yeah, the work's beautifully done,
Thank
no
you,
doubt.
thank you. I really love it. I actually have the 11 by 17 thick paper sheet still there, man, with all the original drawings and everything. And
Oh,
it's
that's badass.
but the cool part is it's though it's so raw, book 2 is being done in an iPad. So we have a totally different feel,
Yeah.
but the vibrance and color, I can go so far in for detail. You can't really. It has the you give and take with technology versus handheld pencil. Dude, if I read off the list of titles that I have, I actually work better that way. If you give me a title, I can create the story from a title.
So you get the whole storyboard going through your head right then and there, just from.
Yeah, sometimes I would say everything that I've thought of up to this point came from the title. Fuk'n Chickens was
Really?
totally the beginning was that. In fact, my brother could even tell you. I was telling him I wrote the scene down. I typed it up because I had this particular idea in my mind, and I wrote it down. I showed it to him, and he says, "Oh, that's good, man. You should, He told me I should just write it all out. And then when I went back into the room, I was typing, and then I realized the joke. It was like a joke, and I can't say because it'll ruin certain things. But I had this joke in my head, man, and it was funny, but it didn't work with what I typed. But when I flipped some scenarios around, then the joke made 100% sense, and I had to work from that joke, which is it lands in the book 3. It's like the closing of book 3. But that joke, I worked backwards to the beginning so that I could get everything to land on that spot, you know.
And you will have to keep me posted on book
Oh
2
yeah,
and 3, everything coming up, because I do want them, and I do want to come back and talk about all of these again. Before we head out, though, I want to know: is there anything you can tell us about book 2 and 3 coming out?
Mm.
Without spoiling anything, of course, but is there anything you can tell us?
A lot of people die in book 2. Book 2's bloody. Book 2's a
Not me,
mess.
not me though, right? I'm still there.
Oh man, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Shit, I'm probably dead. Surprise.
No, but it's cool because it's when all the action really takes place in book 2. Book 3 is obviously a resolution, but book 3 also has, in my mind, one of the coolest endings. And it's like, man, like I'm so happy that I have an idea that my ending is as good as a lot of endings that I've seen in other movies. So
Well, I'm digging it because I'm thinking Walking Dead type quality. Of course, they haven't
you gotta
completely
see.
come to an
You
end,
gotta
but
see, man. It's gonna be so great. It's gonna, and the crazy part is that the crazy part about all of this is that it has a reflection to like the way things go on in the world right now. Like it's the premise of the whole book, and I can say this without giving anything away, really. The premise of the entire story is based on legalization of marijuana. And if the United States was going to go full on, then business in the underworld would probably have a little, a little shakeup and all that. And somebody would probably want to make things go south. So through a little bit of science, you end up with this, B-movie style giant something killing us, like in the old days.
Yeah.
So it's a fun way to kind of bring all that back into that B-movie style genre type of thing.
That's incredible. It really is. And you're politicizing something that some people might not even realize it. It's just,
yeah, dude. It all depends on where your world is, man. What's going on in your farm?
Who knows?
Hey.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the inspiration of where the chickens came from, because I didn't know that story, and I was very curious.
Yeah.
And like, that was the first thing that crossed my mind. I'm like, why chickens? I kept thinking along the lines of Batman. Maybe it was something as a childhood fear, like Batman, or you find him terrifying.
Nah, man, I was just out there, and here's how, I guess the owning chickens, and when you never have, you start seeing them very different, and then you feed them, you see how aggressive they are. My brother had a small Chinese food box type of thing that he got from the pet store with crickets, and he emptied them out, and in seconds, 5 of them just destroyed these things, man. They were gone. No one had a chance. They would jump to fly, and they'd catch them in the air. I'm just like, we're lucky they're only 3 feet tall, man.
Imagine if they were bigger.
Dude, if it was as tall as you.
I look at them like, and I'm reading your comic, I'm like, giant chickens, like, man, if I was looking at them, it's like, we're going to need a bigger bottle of buffalo sauce.
Dude, you wouldn't even get a step. You wouldn't get a step. They're Bruce Lee fast, bro.
Oh, okay. See, yeah,
they are.
Know that.
If you were like, and relation wise, if you had, your typical 2 foot tall chicken, and then you're standing there, all 6 inches of you, good luck, man. You think you're fast. They are so quick, and they're smart, man. They're smart. When they figured out where the food came from, they started pecking at the door.
They're coming for you.
Oh yeah, and then they got their little wings grew back, and they started flying up to the window ledge and pecking on the window. Me and my brother sitting there drinking coffee, and then this big chicken, not big, but just flies up in the window, scares the shit out of us.
So you're sitting there drinking your coffee, a chicken flies up, scares you. You're like, fucking chicken.
Dude, we said it all the time. We said it all the time, man. It was just the more I realized how common the phrase was. It was just, my brother would wake up, man, I gotta go out there and feed these fucking chickens, man.
It was intended, first off, to be an animated movie.
Correct.
Which that is still in the works. How's that coming
100%.
along?
Well, the cool thing about it is that with the iPad, every image I draw can be transferred to, say, an animated platform. So even though I'm drawing things in comic form, I'm still keeping it in mind that this is going to be an animation in the future. So I have that in the back of my mind as far as shots go. So what you're getting in the comic essentially is the glorified storyboard.
Storyboard, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So I don't want to defer too much, just in case the anime as tech improves. I mean, I'm using Procreate on my iPad, and that thing is just amazing. I haven't even scratched the surface with it. I'm just drawing on it, but they have animation capabilities. They have a lot of different ways to take what you're doing and efficiently make it an animation process. So
yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm seeing the cover, of course, to Fuk'n Chicken in the background. You have, my copy signed by yours truly as well. That's really cool. Thank you, by the way.
100%, man. That's good shit. Appreciate the support.
The original movie poster, I've seen that copy. And I tell you what, I thought it was just fucking phenomenal. The 3 chickens in the background.
Yes.
And everybody panicking, running down the road. It was almost like a Godzilla scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, do you still have any plans to use that in upcoming comics?
That's actually in book 2. These were all shots. Everything that you've seen drawn is a scene from some portion of the first movie. So just to clarify, the books that are 1 through 9, if each 3 book is a movie, then it's basically part 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's the next thing. Because reading this comic, and I did, as soon as I got it from you, I opened it up and I did look at it. I'm like, holy hell, this is cool. And you see a lot of real world inspirations from you.
Yeah.
The first thing, just on the cover, 3 giant chickens, which you've just explained where the chickens came from, stalk a small town of Cliff, Kentucky, which that made me laugh. I sat there, if for people that don't know outside of this stream, because you and I do,
Yeah.
the cliff is Radcliffe, Kentucky, right outside of Fort Knox. So you took a lot of inspiration from this area in general.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, the poster I was talking about just a second ago looked like E-Town to me.
Yeah, I took a lot of old school, kind of small town, but at the same time, there's stuff like that within our vicinity, which most people don't, live in a place where there's a small town, of that style, building wise and all that stuff, and that kind of came together knowing that I was gonna make the jackets, the high school jackets, like Fort Knox colors. So
I saw that, the
yeah,
green, and yeah.
once I went with that, it was like, okay, we're gonna be. I didn't want to use Fort Knox because it just felt like it didn't fit the small town feel. Like that's a whole nother movie, man. If you base it on an army base, but in a small town, you get some country.
But there was still the Fort Knox references in there, and
Yeah.
even from your time in the Army, I remember there were a couple characters in there. I think there was a Sergeant Barnes, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually my brother plays that role, and I put a lot of family. The Sergeant Barnes is my brother. I think my dad is in there. I just throw him in there just to pepper up like cameos and stuff,
Well, my wife and I, we noticed one character in there that it almost looked like me, and I was like, it could be. I doubt it, but it could be. So don't spoil that for anybody. I'm just going to assume it was me, and we're going to go along with that, especially
Hey, man.
when the movie comes out.
Welcome to the show.
On that note, I want to get into a little bit more about you personally as well, because obviously you were an Army brat, Fort Knox High School. You've also, you're a veteran. You did spend some time in the Army as well. What was your MOS?
At the time, it was called 93 Papa. It was basically like an air traffic control assistant. It might be very different now.
Sounds stressful as shit.
No, man, it was cool. I loved that job. It was really cool, man. You know how like you feel like, say you get a job at a mall and you've been in malls your whole life, but now you're a security guard and you get to go behind and you know all the people and all that shit, right? Well, that's kind of how I felt at the airfield. People crawl up and you just have you could go anywhere on the airfield because you work there. And how many times have you been we call it on an airplane or at an airport, but you could go and drive on the airfield on the runway. Yeah, that's so boss, man. When I was out there mowing the edges of the airfield. That's how old school this was. They used to make the soldiers. We used to mow the edge of a fucking 1 mile runway, dog, back and forth once, twice, and then the C-130s would fly and land, man, right over us, dude. That you don't get a better job than that, man. It's fucking fun.
Good C-130s too. I mean, there's so much.
Yeah. We rolled in Chinook helicopters in Korea.
Love those things. Yeah.
We were in a battalion of 13 Chinooks, and one mission we had, I remember I fell asleep. I was in the lead because we were in headquarters. I fell asleep inside of one. We landed somewhere, and we were taking off. And as we were coming up, I guess we caught up with everybody, and it was like the other 12 just started to pop up behind us, and we had the tailgate down. Dude, like a swarm of bees flying through the hills. It was the most amazing feeling.
Well, and having that tailgate down, it's like the most picturesque moments, just everything you see with the landscape. And then, like you said, them other, seeing every other Chinook come up around you would be just a perfect picture, dude.
I didn't even know that we were there. It was just like I was yawning, and then I look, and I'm like, oh, snap. Like a gang, dude. It was so gangster.
Now, what did you think of South Korea? I mean,
oh, man.
A lot of people end up there for a year or so, and
I enjoyed it the second half. First half I was there, I don't know what was wrong with me. I was 19. I was just rejecting a lot of things in life at that time. And I didn't even want to go to Korea, to be honest with you. I wanted to go somewhere else. And it was kind of one of those things where I was like a year of my life felt so long at that time. But if you told me today, hey man, we'll send you to Korea to work on book 2 and pay you 10 grand, I'm like, yeah, let's do it,
peace,
man.
I'm out. Time you were an Army brat as well, so you spent a lot of time in good old Deutschland. I'm assuming that's one of the locations you wanted to get to while you were active duty.
I went there twice.
Yeah?
I went there. I was there. I was there in the late 80s. I was there 5th grade through 6th grade, and then I went back as a spouse because I got married here in Fort Knox when I was in the military, and then I finished my time in service. Dude, it was so crazy. Her orders changed. She got to Fort Knox about a year before we got married. total quick soldier style marriage. You know what I mean? And her orders changed immediately once we got married, and then they shipped us to Germany, bro. And I was
Whereabouts, if you don't mind me asking?
first time I was there was Schaffenburg, Germany. Second time I was there was Grafenbeer.
Graf, wow, okay.
Yeah. And that was cool, man. I got to see it as an adult, and we got to, take train rides all over, and it was dope, man. It really was.
It is, because I've listened to some of your old podcasts, and I remember you referred to your time in Germany as a kid when you were a military brat as the Goonie years.
Yeah,
and I love that. I was
dude.
like, that is like the perfect, especially for our age group, that is the perfect reference, the Goonie years.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. The year where you're just small enough to get into some shit, but just young enough to get out of it,
Oh, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that age over in Europe, especially in Germany, what I picture is, of course, there's access to so much for as a kid. You have, I mean, you can go pretty much anywhere. It's not like now. It's like you can't let your kid walk a block or two down the road. There, you could walk miles and miles and let your kid go anywhere they wanted to off post and on the economy.
Yeah.
Gumi stores and Schwimmbad, and I mean, just a cool ass place,
yeah.
you know.
And I had the fortunate I was fortunate to be born in the Bronx. So as a kid, even before the military, we were already going like that. We were already going down. I don't know how old I was when I went downstairs to the bodega with my grandmother would tear the top of the cigarette box and give a little water money in my hand and say, "Give this to the man." I was like, dude, I might have been 5. I might have been like 5 or 6 years old, maybe 6, somewhere around there. And I remember, that might be a lie. I might be 7, because I think I remember I was buying ice cream and shit at the time. Yeah, but that was the life of city kids.
Yeah,
You could go that far, and it was different than, say, if you grew up in a place where you didn't see a lot of people, and people were further out, and you're walking on the side of the road or some shit. In the city, it's just go, hurry up, come back.
Yeah. Well, I've spent quite a few years in Germany. I absolutely loved it. I'm curious, what was your favorite parts of Germany? I mean, what are your favorite things about Germany to this day?
Well, as a kid, like we were just alluding to, the freedoms. That part was cool. I became a skateboarder, a skater kid at that time, and so the places we went, the Schwimmbads, they had areas where they had like platforms, but they were just like concrete steps, but they were big, and it was just open places you could skate. And at the time, I thought it was just like you could do that anywhere. And then when you came back to the States, you learned that you can't do that everywhere.
You can't do that shit. Yeah.
No, but then that made it more fun. So I don't know. Yeah, the artwork has been so much fun to play with. I think before I started making it to a comic, it was just concept designs. So cleaning up the design of how I wanted the chickens to look. They traveled through a lot of different phases, man. They looked terrible in the beginning, like some Simpsons style chickens, man. They really looked bad. And then over time, the progression turned into a more natural, then to more menacing.
They're very menacing. They got a very ominous look. I mean, still looking at you right now with them in the background and those yellow eyes staring at me.
Yeah.
It's freaking me out a little bit. It's getting to me.
Dude, you know what I did was in Texas when we had the chickens, I took my cell phone and I just propped it up against the steps because I had this HTC something. I can't remember what it was. But it was like it was about the height that I would be if I was putting it in relation to the movie. So I put my cell phone on the steps and just recorded video and closed the door because I know that as soon as I go in the house, these fuckers are coming. And I just let them walk up to the camera and get close and inspect it. I recorded all that stuff, dude. And there's a lot of that footage used as reference in the comic.
That's incredible. And the fact that you took it that far, because I mean, that's the way it should be done. And people like me would never know. I have no idea how to do that.
Oh, we weren't going to keep them when we were moving. So I had to get all the footage I could get, man. But I was daydreaming all kinds of ways to like at the time it was animation. So I'm thinking it would be cool if we made like a small town and had them running around, and then shot that way. This is budget stuff, man,
Yeah.
I'm over here planning it though in my mind. And then eventually, the comic really, but animation is going to be where it's at, man.
And I can't wait to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Legit. Those kills with all that blood.
FYI, if you do need a voice actor, I've got
Oh,
a little bit of
dude,
range going on here.
I've heard your voice, man. You know what's crazy was like knowing you as an adult now, and then as a kid, we were whole totally different people, man. Like I would have been if I go back in time, like, hey man, you want to talk shit? I see you sing karaoke when you grow up, bro. You're good.
Oh shit! I forgot you've seen that. I've heard that. That's terrible.
Oh,
Wow.
dude. I'd go back and I would tell you you're good just to make you feel bad. That's how bad we were when we were kids.
No, and I would. Yeah, I'd have a fucking complex the rest of my life.
You'd be
Yeah.
like, shut up, man. No, I'm not.
You actually came back to Fort Knox, Kentucky. This area. What brought you back here?
While I was in New York City and I was working on the storyboard for Fuk'n Chickens, I was in the Bronx and my friend Shannon, remember Shannon from high school?
I do. Yeah.
She was in the DC area and I'd never been to the DC area, which is only 2 hours from New York City. So
Yeah.
she rolled up and picked me up, bro. And we checked out Arlington. We checked out some other places around DC. But this was right before Halloween, and we were a big time Nightmare Forest. Remember that when we were kids? We used
Yes.
to go through
Yeah.
that. So she says, "Oh, you should come back to Fort Knox, and we should go through." And I was already planning on making my way to Florida anyway, so I was like, "Let's just start this trip halfway, and then from there I'll go down." And I end up here in August, and I'm trying to get a job because I need a little bit of money. And I go to a company that does print work. He saw my work and he says, I can't hire you because you'll leave in 2 months because you're too good on this stuff and that stuff. But I do want you to call these people. So he gave me Tim Faulkner Museum. He gave me that number. He gave me another number, and then he gave me the third number on the post that said Field of Screams, and
Hmm.
it said Matt and Jan Powell, Brandenburg, and I'm like, Brandenburg, that's right next to Fort Knox, where we grew up. But I never in my life went to Brandenburg. I had no reason to ever go to Brandenburg.
Yeah. What's in Brandenburg?
Dude, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just get in touch with these people. I went on their webpage. I went on their Facebook. I saw a couple pictures. I got in touch with them. And then they said, oh, come out. It was the Saturday of Zombie Walk in Louisville. So I came out there, did some makeup real quick, and I've never done makeup. But they saw my Walking Dead piece of work that was on YouTube and thought that I was a Walking Dead makeup artist. So I had all these kids coming up to me, hey man, why'd you leave Walking Dead? Like by the time the story got to these kids, I worked for Walking Dead. I only did a piece of art that was like fan art. But the
And I've
video
seen
got
that.
all,
That was the actual painting with all the
yeah,
the main
dude.
characters at
Check
the
it
very
out.
beginning.
I could actually turn the camera, you can see it.
Oh shit! Yes, this was one of the best original works I've ever seen. There it is.
Yeah, man.
And I remember watching either on Instagram or Facebook or something where the progression of this work, that is incredible.
Let me see. I can pop it up. That thing opened doors for me like you don't even know, man. Like legit, that piece right there is the reason why Field of Screams hired me. And then they had me come back the next year to do makeup again, and I've been there for 6 years now, man. We didn't have it this year, but you know, we're still a tight crew. And
That is fan-fucking-tastic.
yeah,
I still remember you showing me just bits and pieces when it was coming together years ago, and that piece still impresses me so much, dude.
thanks, dude. I appreciate that, man. It's one of my favorites. It's up there. It's heavy. I've actually shown it at a couple of shows. I had a zombie fashion show. That's pretty interesting. All these models on stage and these makeup artists turn them into zombies, and at the end of the show, they do the walk, and you vote. And in the
They're
process,
still hot though, right?
oh yeah, it was amazing. It was
The
amazing.
hottest zombies ever.
And they hit the way they walk with their legs and shit, like models, And I was like, look at them, they're real models, but they're all everybody, did their own makeup, and it was dope because they did it on stage, and you could watch the makeup happening, but at the same time they had vendors and then artists hanging their work, and I was one of them.
I go, you never did makeup before.
Yeah.
How did your artwork translate into makeup there? I mean, how did that work for you? Was it
Dude.
difficult transitioning?
Well, the airbrush thing is it took a little hand-eye coordination, to get used to, and then learning how to use the airbrush in conjunction with an edge or a stencil. And then, but for the most part, it really kind of I just needed to know what tools I had available. And then once I figured out, what my smallest tool was and what my biggest tool was, then I just kind of made those things work. And it was cool because it was an easy, it wasn't difficult for me to produce blood spatter or do a lot of the things that was in my mind because I had the right tools for it. The airbrush gun is so useful, especially if you have the trigger where you can go fine and then wide. You can do
Yeah.
veins and you can blow out eyes and just it was so cool. And then I work fast because of the training from the other jobs that I've had. So I'm just knocking
Yeah.
out faces and faces. And that was probably the biggest thing that I could count on was my speed, getting things turned out quick. And I've always been like, even every year I've always noticed that my makeups, I do maybe 5-6 minutes. You know, you're in and out. And we got a lot of actors there, dude. And there might be like 100 actors and 4 makeup artists.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot,
So
man.
you're going through it really quick.
Yeah. 3 hours, I think we have.
See, I'm pretty quick at a lot of things. I can't brag about those things online, especially, but I am quick at a lot of things.
Well, hey, man, you got to work with your strengths, man. You never know. You get a lot done when you're quick, bro.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's
You
like,
get your-
hey, 30 seconds of foreplay, 5 seconds of the rest. We're
Yeah,
golden.
man. You be back on your taxes in no time.
Izzy Serrano, thank you so much for being on KyTalk Live. We really do appreciate it. Be sure to head over to his Patreon account for Fuk'n Chickens. That is FUK''N. That is God's comma. Fuk'n Chickens on his Patreon. You will have early access to a lot of the work coming up for book 2, 3. A lot of the behind the scenes work from Izzy Serrano himself. You can also check him out on Izzart on Instagram, and be sure to get book 1 of Fuk'n Chicken on Amazon.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you having me, man. It means a lot.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you too.
Bro, we'll do this again, man, with book 2 and all the next ones, man, anytime.
I can't wait. Can't wait. We'll do more bourbon, more Fuk'n Chickens.